What's up, guys? Welcome to a new day. I'm Stephanie Ryder, and this is the 365 Shares podcast. It's February 18th, 2024, and today's topic is abandonment. The Big Red Book says if the family withdraws support, this might feel new, but in reality, the abandonment has always been there. That's a hard thing to hear. I know in ACA, when we start setting boundaries, when we start pulling away from the way that our families of origin deal with things, there is a tendency for the families to push back. Often they try to suck us back into the dynamic, or they tell us that we're the ones who are unhealthy or who need to change because they're very comfortable where they are. And if we get healthy and look healthier in comparison to them, then they might be forced to look at themselves differently. They might feel like they might have to do some work on themselves, and generally they don't want to do that. So it's kind of a lonely road to recover from family dysfunction. But what we don't find in our families of origin, we can find in our fellow travelers. We can find in new friends, new partners, other people who are in recovery, people we meet through therapy, yoga, sports teams, any type of healthy group of people that we find to become our new families of choice. There's a line that's really interesting in the Strengthening My Recovery book that says we stop trying to replace our parents with people who wear different masks. Although such relationships might temporarily feel good, they soon come crashing down as we see them for what they are: ugly, messy, and codependent. This has been so true of me in a lot of my friendship relationships and romantic relationships. I realized with female friends for the past few years, I've been friends with a lot of people who really shared a lot of qualities with my sister. I see things that I think they don't see about themselves, and I always have been very careful to mirror them back the way they want to be seen. And I try not to give them any type of difference of opinion. I tend to be very people-pleasing, very placating, but eventually something happens that triggers me, and I feel like they are betraying me and they're not treating me with the amount of respect that I feel I deserve because of how much work I've put into treating them the way that they want to be treated, which I realize is all behind the scenes and they don't know that I'm doing that and working so hard and being so disingenuous. But then there's some blow up and I just am like, you know what, I'm done. Or they say they're done because it all just comes to a head. So I finally addressed with my sister a lot of our issues, and I think that hopefully this pattern with female friends is going to end as well, or at least won't keep coming back to me, and I can make healthier female friendships. And I do have some wonderful female friends. This is not everyone, but every few years a new female friend has come into my life, and it's like always this same pattern. So I want to break that pattern. I've also done it in my romantic relationships where I've dated people who are like one or more of my parental figures, which could be parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles. And I've had different successes and failures with different types of people, even dating people that were more like my brother, who I've been stuck with since I was 2. That's a mean thing to say, but that's my truth. And I've dated people that are a lot more like him, that are very sort of stuck in their ways. He's a Virgo. I've dated a few Virgos. Like my first 2 long-term boyfriends were Virgos. And it's just not someone that I get along with generally. It's not someone who sees the world the way that I do. But I was always trying to fit someone into that mold of what I knew. I'm Steph, and this is my share. The affirmation from the Strengthening My Recovery book says, on this day, I will allow that which is dead to be what it is. I will take whatever time I need to fully grieve and then move on. This really made me think of something I've been thinking about with my family of origin. It occurred to me a week or so ago that I might need to pretend that they died, which sounds so bad, but I saw something on Instagram that said, if we're ruminating on something, it means that we really haven't accepted the reality of the situation, and we keep trying to figure out ways in our mind to make it make sense or to make it have the outcome that we want, that we might never get. And I related that to my family by thinking, you know what, they may never treat me the way that I want to be treated. They may never be healthy in the way that I feel like I want them to be healthy. And I have to accept that. But it's hard to accept that people who are alive are just not going to ever be there for you the way that you want. It's hard to accept that people who you love are never going to be able to love you in a healthy way in the way that you want. So in my mind, I was like, maybe I should just pretend that they all died in a plane crash and grieve them, not because they're dead to me necessarily. I'm sure that I will have relationships with them again in the future, because if I viewed it as something so final as a death, I would have to accept the reality of the fact that they are not the people that I wish they could be. So I've been thinking about that a little bit more, of like trying to get myself to this reality of they are who they are. They are never going to be the people that I want them to be. If I can't accept that living people are just going to be the way they are, I have to pretend that they're not alive because there's no ability to change. It's very final. And I have to grieve because it makes me really, really, really sad to think that they might not ever love me the way that I want. They might not ever ask me how I'm doing, invest in me, in what I'm doing with my life. They might not ever visit me the way that I want them to visit me. They might always be so preoccupied with their own lives that I'm never a priority to them. And that's okay. They're living their own lives. They have their own priorities, jobs, families, relationships, kids. They have a lot going on. And for the most part, they're doing a good job. They're living the lives that they want to live. The fact that I'm not as big of a part of their consciousness as I want to be is really my problem and not theirs. So I have to grieve because it makes me sad. And I'm giving myself the time and space to do that. Some of that is letting myself listen to songs that are sad or watch shows that are sad. I just watched a few episodes of Life and Beth with Amy Schumer, which reminded me of my family because she's dealing with people that really just don't see her or don't treat her well. And she's trying to get her own life together and she wants to be happy and healthy. So that was really triggering, and I let myself have a little bit of a cry about that. But then as I was coming out of that cry, I thought about people who are more in my extended family, who I have a lot more in common with. And I thought about how wonderful they are and some things that they've said to me when I've been at my lowest point, and the way they just stepped in and did everything that I've always wanted my family of origin to do. Didn't take no for an answer, made sure that I was okay, made me explain to them what was happening in my life, called and checked up on me. They pray for me. When I visit them, I always get treated like an honored guest. Even I have a cousin who, when I visit, her husband sleeps on the couch for however many days that I'm there, and I sleep in bed with her, and we have this sleepover, and like he's so nice about it and is always like so happy that I visited. And it's just wonderful. Like there's nobody else that I could ever imagine in the world saying, oh, sleep in the master bedroom with me. And like my husband will sleep on the couch. Like nobody ever does that. It's just awesome. I do have these people in my life who just truly have my back, who are truly my blood, this just cut from the same cloth. I would do anything for them. They would do anything for me. That is such a comfort and such a joy. So while I want to allow myself to grieve these feelings of disappointment that I have about my family of origin, I'm also then superimposing this joy and this hope and this gratefulness that I have about other members of my extended family, saying, hey, yes, it's sad that there are half a dozen people in your family who don't treat you the way that you want to be treated, but there are 3 dozen people in your extended family who always go above and beyond for you. And that is awesome. And that is something to be grateful for. So abandonment sucks, emotional abandonment, physical abandonment. It sucks. We deal with it all the time in little ways and big ways. But if you look around and you allow yourself to grieve and then wake up from the grief, you will see that there are people who are so thrilled to get the chance to be there for you, whether it's other friends, other family members, people who are fellow travelers, people in ACA, any type of recovery program. Maybe you have really great people at work, or you're on a sports team and you have people on your team who you guys are all in it together and you work really hard toward a common goal. Whatever it is, let yourself be sad about the abandonment, but then look up and find the people who never abandon you, who always have your back, and really focus on them.